Finland scraps pipeline gas supply deal with Russia. Moscow has been demanding that unfriendly states pay for energy in rubles. Finnish state energy company Gazprom announced on Monday that it has terminated a long-term natural gas contract with Russia's Gazprom export after the sides were unable to resolve an issue with payments. The move follows Gazprom's suspension of pipeline-based natural gas deliveries to Gazprom in May 2022 over the latter's refusal to make payment in rubles. In response to EU sanctions last year, Moscow demanded that buyers in countries that supported the restrictions pay for Russian gas supplies in rubles instead of dollars or euros. The parties were not able to resolve the situation within the period defined by the arbitral tribunal, the Finnish company's statement reads. The termination concerns only pipeline supply, whereas the long-term LNG supply contract Gazprom has with Gazprom export remains in place, it specified. Gazprom confirmed it had been notified about the Finnish energy provider's decision, saying it is conducting a legal analysis of further steps in this matter, Reuters reported. Data from the Finnish Customs Service showed that Gazprom has bought around $188 million worth of natural gas from Russia since February 2022. Gazprom supplied the company with 1.49 billion cubic meters of gas in 2021, representing two-thirds of Finland's total consumption. MOFCOM, China will continue to welcome U.S.-funded enterprises to develop in China. China unswervingly promotes high-level opening up, placing a key emphasis on attracting foreign investment, and steadily expanding institutional opening up, including rules, regulations, management and standards, said Minister of Commerce Wang Wentao when presiding over a symposium in Shanghai on Monday. Representatives from the American Chamber of Commerce in Shanghai and American-funded enterprises, including Johnson & Johnson, 3M, Dow, Merck, and Honeywell, attended the symposium. At present, China's economic operation has maintained a positive trend and its market potential has continuously increased, representing more opportunities for enterprises from all over the world, including U.S.-funded enterprises, to develop in China, said Wang. The Ministry of Commerce will continue to provide accurate and efficient services for foreign-funded enterprises and projects, protecting the rights and interests of foreign investment, creating a market-oriented, legal, and international first-class business environment, whilst sharing the dividends of China's huge market and open development with enterprises from all over the world. Wang emphasized the deep economic ties between China and the U.S. The economic and trade cooperation between the two sides exists on the basis of mutual respect and mutual benefit are in the fundamental interests of not only the two countries and their peoples, but also to the world as a whole. China will continue to welcome U.S.-funded enterprises to develop in China and achieve win-win results. Representatives of U.S.-funded enterprises attending the meeting expressed their gratitude to the Ministry of Commerce, especially in relation to the Special Work Group for Key Projects and for providing service guarantees for foreign-funded enterprises. Enterprises continue to be optimistic about the development prospects of the Chinese market and are willing to further deepen their ties to the Chinese market. Japan boosts Russian grain imports, data. Overall trade with the sanctioned country has decreased, official statistics indicate. Japan's imports of Russian grain jumped by 554.8% in April compared to the same period of last year, according to data released last week by Tokyo's finance ministry. Domestic demand for wheat alone in Japan amounts to some 5.6 million tons annually, with 90% of the produce being imported, according to the ministry. Despite the increase, Tokyo's overall imports from Russia fell by 61.9% year-on-year in April. Japan, a member of the G7, has supported sanctions against its neighbor over the conflict in Ukraine, in lockstep with its Western allies. Imports of Russian vegetables dropped by 75.1%, fish and seafood declined by 31.4%, coal slumped by 80.8% and liquefied natural gas, LNG, was down by 10.6%. Imports of iron and steel from Russia decreased by 35.8%, and non-ferrous metals by 68.1%, the data showed. Meanwhile, Russia harvested a record grain crop last year, with exports expected to reach 55 to 60 million tons in 2022 to 2023. Russian farmers have gathered more than 150 million tons of grain, including over 100 million tons of wheat. This year, Russia is expected to retain its position as the world's largest wheat exporter despite Western sanctions. SW China's Xizang eyes high-quality development. Oiza Doch, a resident of Baka village in Engari Prefecture in southwest China's Xizang Autonomous Region, has witnessed how infrastructural development brings prosperity to the village. Recalling the times when villagers could not transport willow trees due to road blockages amid heavy snow, Oiza Doch now appreciates the asphalt road that became operational at the end of 2020. The willow trees brought an income of 910,000 yuan, around $130,000, for villagers the year after the asphalt road was put into use, said Oiza Doch. What Baka village has experienced epitomizes how Xizang has sought to accelerate the infrastructural building to improve its residents' well-being. Official statistics show that the total length of roads in Xizang has increased by some 55,000 kilometers to 120,000 kilometers from 2012 to 2022. Along with the fast development of infrastructure, Xizang also saw rapid economic growth in the past decade. In the first quarter of this year, Xizang's GDP reached 57.587 billion yuan, an increase of 8.2% year-on-year, one of the highest in China. From 2012 to 2021, Xizang's GDP grew by an annual average of 9.5%, and the growth rate has been among the top in the country for years, said Tian Guanghua, Deputy Director of Regional Development and Reform Commission at a press conference in October 2022. The per capita GDP in Xizang exceeded 56,800 yuan in 2021, realizing an average annual growth of 7.6% over the decade, Tian added. The remarkable growth has much to do with the government support. Tian said at the press conference that from 2012 to 2021, 525 projects were implemented with a total investment of 682.6 billion yuan, of which 530.9 billion yuan was invested by the central government. Chinese President Xi Jinping stressed writing a new chapter of lasting stability and high-quality development for the Plateau region during his visit to Xizang in July 2021. During the visit, Xi also noted the development of distinctive industries, the building of national bases for clean energy and coordination between development and security. Responding to the central authorities' guidelines on high-quality development, Xizang has made progress in various areas including clean energy, green development, and high-end digital technology. Located on the southwestern part of the resource-rich Qinghai-Xizang Plateau, Xizang leads the country with 174 gigawatts of potential hydropower, according to the white paper Ecological Progress on the Qinghai-Xizang Plateau issued in July 2018. In November 2022, a 1,200 megawatt hydropower project started operation on the border of Xizang and southwest China's Sichuan province, the first hydropower station in the upper reaches of the Jinsha River. As outlined in Xizang's latest 5-year plan, 2021 to 2025, it aims to boost the development of solar power generation, pushing the total installed capacity to above 10 gigawatts by 2025. Developing clean energy shows the idea of lucid waters and lush mountains are invaluable assets in the harmonious coexistence of humanity and nature in Xizang, said Chen Piyu, Deputy Director of the Institute of Economic Strategy at the Xizang Academy of Social Sciences. Home to highland barley, the main crop in the special geographical and ecological conditions of the Qinghai-Tibet Plateau. The Xizang regional government has introduced measures including building a number of highland barley cultivation bases to improve varieties and has fostered green organic barley brands to enhance the brand of highland barley, thus helping increase residents' income and further promote rural revitalization. High-end digital technology also plays a major role in Xizang's pursuit of high-quality development. Shigatse is a major agrarian city where the highland barley output accounts for nearly half of the total output of the region. To promote the quality and efficiency of the highland barley industry, the city established a Highland Barley Industry Big Data Platform in 2023 to deal with businesses including Highland barley planting, seed traceability and agricultural machinery management. By developing smart agriculture and animal husbandry, Xizang has cultivated a number of backbone enterprises and strived to keep an annual grain output above 1 million tons, with total output value of agricultural and livestock product processing reaching 7.5 billion yuan. Xizang is also actively exploring and cultivating new forms of business in the digital economy. This year, Xizang plans to launch 30 industrial digital transformation projects, build a number of digital workshops and smart factories, and set up cloud-based platforms for more than 300 enterprises. Despite the fast growth, Yin Yangwei, an official from the Regional Development and Reform Commission, cautioned that the imbalanced regional development and imbalanced internal and external opening up are among the factors challenging Xizang's aim of building a pilot zone of high-quality development for the plateau. Xing Guangcheng, head of the Institute of Chinese Borderland Studies at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, spoke highly of Xizang's geographic strategy, saying that the region could enhance economic cooperation with South Asian countries with the help of the Belt and Road Initiative. Russia accounts for lion's share of India's oil imports, Reuters. Shipments from the Middle East and Africa reportedly dropped to their lowest level in 22 years. India imported record volumes of Russian oil in April, while reducing the share of crude from the Middle East and Africa to their lowest levels in more than 2 decades, Reuters reported citing trading sources. Exports of Russian petroleum to India surged by 4.4% on a monthly basis to 1.9 million barrels per day, BPD, in April compared to 928,400 BPD imported by New Delhi from Iraq and 723,800 BPD delivered from Saudi Arabia, the figures showed. Asia's third biggest economy, which is also the world's third largest oil importer and consumer, ramped up oil purchases after Russia rerouted supplies to Asia in response to Western sanctions over the conflict in Ukraine. Russia remained the top oil supplier to the South Asian nation for the 6th straight month in April, followed by Iraq, traditionally India's top supplier, and Saudi Arabia. Growing oil imports from Russia also pushed up the share of crude from Commonwealth of Independent States members, including Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan, to 43.6% of an overall 4.81 million BPD imported by India last month. At the same time, Middle Eastern supplies, which traditionally made up the majority of New Delhi's oil imports, fell to 44%, while African crude accounted for just 3.4%, the outlet said. Indian refiners have cut their spot purchases of Middle Eastern and West African grades as we are getting supply of Russian oil at lower prices, an official from an Indian refinery told Reuters. While OPEC's share of Indian oil imports is on the wane, Russian supplies are likely to remain high after the country's largest oil producer Rosneft and India's top refiner Indian Oil Corp signed an agreement in March to substantially increase oil supplies and diversify oil grades delivered to India. China keeps benchmark lending rates unchanged for 9th month. China kept its benchmark lending rate unchanged for the 9th consecutive month in May, according to the National Interbank Funding Center on Monday. The one-year loan prime rate, LPR, which influences most new and outstanding loans in China, came in at 3.65%. The over 5-year LPR, on which many lenders base their mortgage rates, stood at 4.3%. The steady LPR fixings are in line with market expectations in view of the unchanged MLF, medium-term lending, rate, Bruce Peng, chief economist and head of research at JLL Greater China, told CGTN. The MLF rate serves as a guide to the LPR and markets mostly use the medium-term rate as a precursor to any changes to the lending benchmarks. China's central bank rolled over maturing medium-term lending facility, MLF, loans while keeping the interest rate unchanged last week. We do not expect policymakers to unleash major stimulus as the 5% GDP growth target is still well within reach and issues such as property risks and youth unemployment require a more targeted approach, economists at Goldman Sachs said in a note. Economists at Capital Economics said the People's Bank of China, the country's central bank, may use other tools such as Reserve Requirement Ratio, RRR, cuts and liquidity injections to guide funding costs lower. Meta fined record $1.3 billion in EU over US data transfers. Meta was hit with a record €1.2 billion, $1.3 billion, fine by its lead privacy regulator in the European Union for its handling of user information and given 5 months to stop transferring users' data to the United States. The fine imposed by Ireland's Data Protection Commissioner, DPC, concerned Meta's continued transferring of personal data topped the previous €746 million record EU privacy fine by Luxembourg on Amazon.com Inc. in 2021, according to a DPC statement on Monday. Meta said in a statement that it will appeal the ruling, including the unjustified and unnecessary fine, and seek a stay of the orders through the courts. The long-running battle over where Facebook stores its data began a decade ago after Austrian privacy campaigner Max Schrems brought a legal challenge over the risk of U.S. snooping in light of disclosures by former U.S. National Security Agency contractor Edward Snowden. Meta said last month it expected a new pact facilitating the safe transfer of EU citizens' personal data to the United States would be fully implemented before it has to suspend transfers. That would mean its previous warning that a stoppage could force it to suspend Facebook services in Europe would not come to pass. Officials have said the new data protection framework, agreed by EU and U.S. government in March 2022, may be ready by July, but Meta also cautioned that there is a chance it might not be ready in time.